All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something massive that's happening right now. One of the biggest energy shifts on the entire planet, India's incredible move into green energy. Seriously, it's a story about huge scale, unbelievable speed, and just massive opportunity.
It really all boils down to this one simple but enormous question. When you have over 1.4 billion people, how do you do it? How do you keep the lights on, keep the factories humming, and keep the economy firing on all cylinders, all while trying to build a clean, sustainable future? The scale of that challenge is it's hard to even wrap your head around.
And just to give you a sense of that scale, here it is. India is already the world's third largest producer and consumer of electricity. This isn't a small player we're talking about. It's a global energy giant. So when India makes a move this big, you better believe the rest of the world feels the ripples.
So, to really understand where India is going, we first have to get a clear picture of where it's starting from. Let's take a look under the hood of its current power grid.
Okay, now this is where the story gets really interesting. For a long, long time, coal has been king. You can see it right there, making up almost half of the country's power capacity. It's been the workhorse, providing that steady power for development. But look closer. Solar, wind, and hydro together already make up a whopping 42% of the capacity. So the green revolution, it isn't some far-off dream. It's happening right now.
And here's the kicker. This whole transition is happening while demand for electricity is just exploding. I mean, India just hit a record peak demand of 250 gigawatts. And as you can see from this chart, that's projected to rocket up to over 366 gigawatts in less than a decade. So think about that. India has to build the clean grid of the future while scrambling to meet the gigantic energy needs of today. It's an incredible balancing act.
Which brings us to the absolute heart of this story. India's meteoric rise as a world leader in clean energy. The speed of this transformation is what's truly mind-blowing. These rankings, well, they really speak for themselves, don't they? Fourth in the world for total renewables, third for solar, fourth for wind. India isn't just showing up to the party, it's on the dance floor, competing with the biggest players on the global stage. And this right here just perfectly captures the insane velocity of this change. Just look at solar power. Back in 2014, India had less than 3 gigawatts of solar. Today, that number has multiplied by 46 times. Let that sink in. This isn't slow and steady growth. This is an absolute rocket ship in just over a decade. And maybe, just maybe, nothing says we're serious about this more than this one fact. India set a huge climate goal to get half of its power capacity from non-fossil fuels. And they didn't just meet it, they absolutely smashed it, hitting the target a full 5 years before they were supposed to. So, the big question is, how? How did this happen so fast? Well, it wasn't an accident, I can tell you that. It's the result of a very deliberate, very strategic push from the government. Let's dig into the policies that lit the fuse on this explosion. A huge piece of the strategy is all about building the tech right at home. Through these production-linked incentives, India is pouring billions into creating its own supply chains for solar panels and big batteries. The goal is brilliant, really. It's not just to use green energy, but to make the stuff that powers it. That means more jobs and way more energy security. At the very same time, they're giving the whole electricity market a massive overhaul. This big new bill basically boils down to these 3 key moves. First, introduce some healthy competition. Second, make sure the prices people pay are fair and actually make sense. And third, bring in a tough referee to enforce the rules. It's all about dragging the entire system into the 21st century. And believe me, they are not stopping there. India's already looking over the horizon to the next big thing. The National Green Hydrogen Mission is this super ambitious plan to make India a world hub for producing clean hydrogen. You know, the fuel that could one day power our heavy industry and big trucks. But here's the thing. When you install this much solar and wind power, you create a whole new set of engineering puzzles. And that brings us to the next chapter of this revolution, building a power grid that's smart enough to handle it all. Here is the fundamental challenge, right? Solar and wind are what we call intermittent. They only work when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. But our demand for power is firm. We want it 24/7. So how do you bridge that gap between power that comes and goes and our need for power that's always on?
Well, a huge part of the answer is this: battery energy storage systems, or BESS. The easiest way to think about them is as giant, country-sized power banks. They can literally soak up all that extra solar energy during the middle of the day and then release it back into the grid in the evening when everyone gets home and turns on their lights. They're the magic ingredient that turns unreliable power into reliable power.
And India isn't just experimenting with this, they are going all in. The plan is to have a mind-boggling 47.2 gigawatts of battery storage hooked up to the grid by 2032. To put that in perspective, that is one of the biggest pushes for energy storage anywhere in the world. But hey, batteries aren't the only tool in the toolbox. For that steady, carbon-free power that runs 24/7 no matter what, India is also planning a huge revival of nuclear power. See, unlike solar and wind, nuclear provides that constant baseload energy. By opening the doors to private investment and exploring new, smaller, safer reactors, the idea is to create the perfect clean energy partner for renewables. Finally, and this is so important to understand, this is not just some environmental project. No way. This is one of the single biggest economic opportunities of the 21st century. Take a look at that number. That's the estimated investment opportunity in India's power sector in just the next 10 years. Let's just round it up. $462 billion. Almost $500 billion. The amount of money needed to build this new energy system is just staggering, and that creates a massive opening for investors. And guess what? Global investors have already taken notice. This chart shows foreign direct investment. And what's so fascinating here is that since the year 2000, more foreign money has actually flowed into India's renewable energy sector than into its old-school traditional power sector. The smart money is clearly betting big on India's green future. All of which leaves us with one last, really big question to think about. As India pulls off this incredible trick, balancing massive economic growth with a super aggressive green transition, is it basically writing a new playbook for the world? Could its journey to build a clean, affordable, and reliable energy system for over 1 billion people become the model that everyone else follows?